opening scene, dark, eerie music plays as a deep voice begins to narrate. The screen is filled with the image of an old, abandoned village hidden deep within the woods. Fog slowly creeps through the trees, and the sound of whispers fills the air. It is said that in a forgotten village, long lost to the grasp of time, a curse was born. A curse so malevolent, so terrifying, that even speaking its name invited misfortune. This is not just a legend. It is a true story, a horrifying tale of an unholy pact, a child born of darkness and a fate worse than death. Act 1. The Arrival of Darkness. Many years ago, nestled deep in the Anatolian mountains, there was a small, isolated village called Karanlıkköy. The villagers were simple folk, leading quiet lives, bound by the traditions of their ancestors. But beneath the surface, something dark festered, a secret that no one dared to speak of. In the heart of this village lived a woman named Zeynep. Young and beautiful, she had always longed for a child. Yet, despite years of marriage, she and her husband Semel remained childless. Desperation drove Zeynep to seek the guidance of an old healer, a woman known only as Karanlıkköy. But Karanlıkköy was not an ordinary healer. She was feared by many, rumored to have knowledge of the forbidden arts. As the flames of a dimly lit lantern flickered in the healer's hut, Karanlıkköy whispered words that sent shivers down Zeynep's spine. "There is a way," she murmured, "but once the seed is sown, there is no turning back." That night, under the pale light of the full moon, Zeynep followed Karanlıköy's instructions, performing a ritual buried deep in the shadows of time. She was to call upon an ancient entity, one that could grant life where none had taken root before. She was told to bury an offering in the soil at the edge of the forest, a lock of her hair, a drop of her blood, and something far more sinister, a piece of a bone unearthed from an unmarked grave. What she did not know was that by doing this, she had opened a door that should have remained sealed. Act 2. The Birth of the Unholy. Months passed, and to the villagers' astonishment, Zeynep was with child. Yet, as her pregnancy progressed, strange things began to happen. Shadows moved unnaturally in the corners of their home, whispers echoed through empty rooms, and animals in the village began to vanish, only for their lifeless bodies to be found mutilated in the woods. One night, Zeynep awoke to a cold, suffocating presence looming over her. She tried to scream, but her voice was stolen from her throat. In the dim candlelight, she saw something move, a shadow detached from the wall, curling toward her like a living thing. And then, just as quickly as it had come, it was gone. The following morning, deep claw marks adorned the wooden walls of their home. When the time came for Zeynep to give birth, a storm raged through Karanlıkköy, unlike anything seen before. The winds howled like tortured souls, and the very ground seemed to tremble. The midwives, seasoned women who had delivered countless children, recoiled in horror as they saw the newborn. His eyes, they were pitch black, bottomless voids reflecting no light. His skin was cold as death itself. Zeynep wept as she cradled her child, whom she named Emir. But deep in her heart she knew this was no ordinary child. As Emir grew, the air around him thickened with dread. People in the village fell ill without reason, their bodies riddled with strange, unexplainable marks. The crops withered and milk curdled the moment it was drawn from the cows. The villagers began hearing things, whispers in their ears when no one was around, the sound of tiny footsteps in their attics at night. And then, the disappearances began. First, it was a young boy who had been playing by the forest's edge. Then an old man who had wandered out after dark. They were never found. Some whispered that they had been taken. Others believed something far worse, that they had been devoured. One night, Semel, unable to ignore the horrors surrounding his son any longer, confronted Zeynep. "This is not our child," he spat, his voice trembling. "You have brought something else into this world." Zeynep, torn between love and fear, could not bring herself to respond. For in the dead of night, she had seen it herself. The way Emir's shadow moved when he was still, the way his laughter sent shivers down her spine, and the way his eyes gleamed whenever something died near him. Act 3. The Price of the Pact. The villagers, now terrified beyond reason, sought Karanlıkköy once more. But when they reached her hut, they found it empty, only a single chilling message scrawled on the wall: "It is already too late." Panic gripped Karanlıkköy. The elders, fearing that the curse would consume them all, made a grim decision. Emir had to be destroyed. That night, a group of men, armed with torches and knives, stormed Zeynep's home. She pleaded, begged them to stop, but nothing could sway them. As Semel held his wife back, the men took Amir, carrying him deep into the woods where the ritual had first taken place. They bound him, placed him in a circle of salt, and began to chant ancient words meant to break the unholy bond. But as they did, the winds howled once more, louder, fiercer. The torches flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. And then, the screams began. One by one, the men were slaughtered, their bodies twisted and broken in ways no human hands could achieve. When the dawn finally arrived, all that remained were crimson-stained stones and the echoes of tortured cries carried by the wind. Zeynep, grief-stricken and mad with despair, wandered into the forest, calling out for her son. But no one ever saw her again. Epilogue: the curse lives on. Karanlıkköy was abandoned soon after. The few who survived never spoke of what had happened, their silence a desperate attempt to forget. But some say, on nights when the wind carries whispers through the trees, you can still hear the voice of a child, laughing, calling, waiting. And those who dare to listen for too long, never return. The screen fades to black, and the sound of a child's laughter echoes one last time before silence takes hold.